Let me start off by explaining trade deficits. So I'm going to try to put it in a very layman's term that you can go take to your cousin, to your auntie, to whoever is talking about trade deficits and doesn't really understand exactly what it means. So the propaganda around trade deficits, the right-wing talking points, suggest that America is being taken advantage of. We are the most powerful and prosperous country in the world. So we are not being taken advantage of. So a trade deficit doesn't mean that we're indebted to anybody. All it means is that if we have a deficit, that we are buying more goods from that country than they are buying from us. But let's take the countries out of it. Let's give an example of a person-to-person exchange. So let's say you have a kid that's selling chocolate bars, they have a fundraiser for their school. If you buy their chocolate bars, but you happen to be a person who sells margaritas, and they don't buy your margarita, then you have a trade deficit with them. You bought something from them, they haven't bought something from you. But did you get taken advantage of because you bought a chocolate bar and they didn't buy a margarita? No. Why would a kid want your margaritas? That doesn't make any kind of sense. You benefited because you have chocolate to eat, and the kid benefited because now they have money to go to their fundraiser. So that's what a trade deficit is. It does not mean that we're not having mutually beneficial exchanges in commerce, and it does not mean that we're being taken advantage of. We don't want to sell some of the things that we're buying, and they don't want to buy some of the things that we're selling. And you can substitute that for a country, whatever the situation may be. Okay. So it's not a barter system either. Doesn't mean that we're trading an exorbitant amount compared to what we're getting. It doesn't mean that you're sitting up here putting an install or putting somebody's boho braids in and all they giving you is a McDonald's Happy Meal. That's not how this works. Every exchange that we're talking about in these trade deficits is mutually beneficial to the people that are engaging in trade. All right. So let's move on to tariffs. We've already talked about tariffs, but I just have to make this very, very clear. The countries that Donald Trump has put these so-called reciprocal tariffs on, they themselves are not paying the tariff. So when we put a tariff on China, it's now up to 145% or more. That country, the Chinese citizens, are not paying these tariffs. We're paying the tariffs, okay, not them. So people in China is chilling, all right? They export the goods to us and they go on about their business. So I just want to be clear because a lot of people have this misconception that the citizens of the other countries are paying the tariffs because when we say we put a tariff on a country, it makes it seem as though they're paying it when we're in fact paying it. And so the implications of this is we have a country to consumer impact. And when I say country, I mean like if you're going on Shein, if you get some bundles off of AliExpress, if you're getting your dupes on DHgate, Shalonda mentioned sneakerheads. Some people out there is buying Duke Jordans. Y'all ain't slick. Y'all buying some Duke Nikes, okay, off of DHgate. Those prices are now going up because we're paying a tariff on our commerce directly with these Chinese retailers. Same thing if you're buying stuff on TikTok. If you get your little two-piece sets on TikTok, some of y'all are noticing that the tariffs are going up on those transactions. But then on the other hand, we have business to business impact. So I am a business owner. I have my Am I Tripping game. Second edition is coming out soon. It's in production. And so now, thanks to Donald Trump's tariffs, my costs have exponentially increased over 145% for the same quantity and same quality of goods that I purchased the last time when I did the first edition of Am I Tripping? And so as a business owner, that means that either A, I have to come up with more money for the same exact number of units that I'm manufacturing in China, or I have to have fewer goods at the price that I can afford, but then that has a higher unit price. And I believe Sharon Epperson was talking about unit price. And so with a higher unit price, that means lower profit, or that means that I got to charge you more. And so this is where the business to business impact actually impacts you as the consumer, all of us as the consumer. And like they mentioned earlier, some of these products have such a low margin that we're not going to purchase it at all. So now that's lower variety, that's lower access to cheap goods. I know Howard Lutnick thinks that people don't need cheap goods. Some people are broke. Some people ain't broke, but they're going to be broke because now they got to pay more for the same goods that they've been paying for. So I just want to close out by saying that the tariffs are not about leveling the playing field. It's not about protecting American jobs, because this administration has said that the American people have to be prepared to feel the pain. And now we need to just suck it up. Protecting workers would be like what Governor Westmore of Maryland is doing, where he's increasing the apprenticeship pipeline. It will be like what the past administration did with the CHIPS Act, with infrastructure that this administration is canceling. Trump is eviscerating the sectors that power American ingenuity. As Americans, we want to be exporting our expertise. We don't want to necessarily be exporting the low value goods. So when Trump is eviscerating education funding, when they're eviscerating research dollars, when they're eviscerating healthcare, the federal government, and things that we're doing around combating climate change, that's working against the American people, all while trying to gaslight and fool people into thinking that these tariffs, which is a tax on us, is protecting us. It's not. And so whenever you hear anybody talking about the tariffs, make sure that they understand that we are paying the tariffs. I know that Donald Trump run the Kamalas for they, them, and I'm for you. Well, guess what? The they, them is us. We're the ones paying the tariffs. So that's what Donald Trump is taxing. And this is a regressive tax on us so that they can pay for tax cuts for billionaires and millionaires.